Now, part 3 of life as a professional singer. So I've described a little bit of injuries, technique, influences, mindset. I guess you could say the newest battle that I have right now is something that I wouldn't expect, because it's a weird thing. It's almost like I'm jealous of some certain singers, not because of how good they are, but I feel like there's just some certain singers that live a certain lifestyle, can do certain things that aren't necessarily the best for them on paper, and can still sing amazingly. Now, with me, um, one thing that kind of happened in the beginning of January 2022 was I started a bout with something called LPR, which is laryngopharyngeal reflux. Now that's acid reflux. Now there's a couple different types of acid reflux. I'll get into this quickly, and what acid reflux does and what it is and whatever. And it's pretty much like stomach acids from your stomach that come through, come above like your LES, which is your lower esophageal sphincter, that rests at the top of your stomach. Now it's like almost like a flap. Now when you swallow, it opens up. When you vomit, it opens up, right? And it's like a flap, like I was mentioning. Now, people with acid reflux have a weak LES, so sometimes it just free floats, and then either acid can come splashing up, or something even worse in some cases, if you are a singer, is pepsin molecules come up through your esophagus and latch onto pepsin receptors in your throat that can cancel out certain parts of your range. This is what I suffer with when I guess either I'm stressed or not eating properly. Now, to give you a little insight on what I had to go through with this bout of acid reflux, on top of my cooked cords, on top of my vocal polyps, on top of my tattered, overworked vocal cords. What else are you gonna throw? God, what else are you gonna throw at me? Is acid reflux. But never fear. When you love something so much, you fight really hard for it. And I love singing, and acid reflux has kind of forced me to do a little bit of lifestyle change. So I'll explain to you what happened in my scenario. Of course, all of you know when COVID hit, that was a very, very stressful time. I wouldn't say that helped, because just like anything stress-wise, stress can cause certain ailments in your body. It's like just stress management is so important, and I think everyone really needs to like let that sink in. Stress management is extremely important. Sink in. Really, sometimes you gotta stop and smell the roses. Sometimes you gotta see the positives in your life, because if you focus on the negatives, a lot of bad things can happen to you. Ailments can happen to you. Stress can strip your health. I will attest to that. Because I don't know how I can be in some of the best physical shape of my life and still have to like worry about acid reflux. Why does everything else on my body feel nice and strong, except this little fucking flap above my stomach that allows acid to come reflux through my esophagus and latch onto my throat and mess with the most important thing that's in my life when it comes to the career. Anyways, so in the beginning of January 2022, we made the decision, the band, Johnny and myself, Justin, and at the time Nick, who was playing in the band. Adam was also playing in the band at the time too. He's still an active guitar player for us in Canada. Shout out to Adam Brick, the beast, the brick man. And yeah, there's a lot of stress that came with moving down to California. A lot of sadness, and I remember just being extra stressed, and then coming down here in like November 2021 and playing here for a bit and having this like idea of like, okay, we got to make this happen in California. When I got back, it was almost in December, this kind of whole thing shifted where like I just started waking up and like my voice just felt like it was like I just sang 3 gigs in a row and didn't like want to like get better or something. I was just like, what the hell is this? So I went to different doctors and whatnot, and eventually kind of came to this conclusion that you're not singing, your voice is feeling like this. You probably have acid reflux. And I started noticing that like things that I ate were really affecting the way my voice was acting. And so much so, where like there's certain things that you like symptoms you get from LPR, like something called the globus effect, where something like just seems like it's like permanently stuck in your throat. And runny nose, you get a runny nose, you feel like you're constantly clearing your throat, like there's some acid burning the shit out of like your throat when reflux symptoms are acting up. It's not a it's a helpless feeling, especially when you don't know what the hell is going on. So much so where you can like stop like eating. You feel scared about eating, like, oh my god, I gotta go singing, like fucking thing, like I don't want to feel like I'm gonna flare before I say, so you just stop eating sometimes, you know what I mean? Or like, and then when you eat something that you think is healthy, it's not healthy, and it's just like it's its own thing. And not only do symptoms act up by things you can consider healthy, you know, you have to find out what these things are, like these trigger foods they call it, and everyone's different. What's a trigger food for me is not a trigger food for, cannot be a trigger food for you. What is healthy to you cannot necessarily be healthy for me. And it's its own journey and battle, and there's tons of groups on it. There's like, you know, the crazy scariest fact about this with acid reflux and these kind of things, and it happened after like in our era of like eating like processed food and stuff with preservatives and a lot of like just bad food, you know. Back in the day, people used to eat a lot of like raw, great, healthy, fermented that were great for your gut microbiome. Here we're like eating shit, you know what I mean? And like fast food and like just not whole foods. So this started happening around that time when I was moving over. I remember like even the drive from like Canada to like the States, I was really trying to alter my diet and still figuring out what worked and what didn't. And like I just be eating melon all day, you know, chicken, and reading books on like acid watchers kind of diets and stuff like that. And it took me a while to get back to like a little bit of a normal kind of situation. And what I mean by a while is that like I altered my diet, and like it got to a point where like I was bringing food at like my own food I couldn't eat anything outside, anything restaurant, anything in the store, like you can't eat it, you know what I mean, unless it's like very specific to what is your non-trigger foods, you know. And that in itself is a little bit of a double-edged sword too, because you're eating clean a lot, and if you're trying to live healthy, that's a good thing. So sorry, back to my nightmare of waking up every morning and feeling like my throat was just cooked. So I'd be eating like oatmeal in the morning, and then like salad, like all day, and with like, you know, chicken as my protein. You needed some kind of protein. I wish I knew now. At that time, maybe would have sped up the process a little bit. Right now, let me get to this in a second. So I was eating these kind of things, and still trying to maintain weight. I remember like I sat at like 155, comfortably, 150, 155 comfortably at that time. And I dropped down to like 135. I look at some videos of like YouTube, because at the time we were trying to do like some crowdfunding, and I was doing like a lot of like videos to try to keep like, you know, a little bit of an online presence going up and let people know that we were down there. I just look at my face, it was just like I look like freaking what I'd consider almost like a version of Skeletor to myself. Like I look very, very skinny. Like almost like Conor McGregor when he like was in like the lightest he just wasn't supposed to sit at that like weight division. You know, you see old pictures of him like now to like when he first was in that like very lightweight, straw weight. I don't know what kind of division he was in, but he just looked so skinny, like very, you see everything in their face, and that was like me. And it was like that for a long time, and compounded on a lot of stress and just like not knowing what to eat exactly. And I read, I think David Loves or something like that. What's that? I forget the name of the guy who wrote the book, like An Acid Washer's Diet. It was David, I know that. And then also this book too later on. I grabbed this book, but not necessarily everything in this book in particular. You got to realize everything that is your trigger foods and not. But they say that you have to eat everything that's like an acidic level of like less than like 7.5 or something. It becomes acidic. Anything above that, it becomes alkaline, and you have to eat all alkaline kind of like level foods to not, because the second you eat something that like comes into the acidic kind of range, what happens is you eat it, and then pepsin molecules come into play, where they tries to break these things down, these acidic like items down, and then in the process your LES is weak, and that pepsin that keeps floating in there will come up, and that's how you kind of get like, reflux triggers. So what I can tell you right now, from this moment onward, halfway through this episode, or halfway through this part 3, is that you do not take your diet for granted more than ever now, because 33% of like cancers that are happening now in this world are all like throat and acid reflux like type induced cancers. 33%. Isn't that freaking nuts? Like, diet is so important. 1/3 of the population will tell you that. That's it. And it's acid reflux like induced like cancer, esophagus cancer, throat cancer, stuff like this. It's all because of our diets. And yeah, if you're suffering this as a singer, it's a living nightmare. It's like, so thankfully, at that time, I ended up getting a little bit of a handle on it, where it went back to kind of normal. My after like 7 months, again, like 6-7 months of hard, like diligent, like diet work. I can't tell you, like, and working out and trying to live healthy and breathing. There's so many different things you can try to do to kind of like strengthen, or like, I don't know, there's not a lot of things you can do to strengthen your LES, but living healthy can help strengthen your LES. I'll say that. Whatever. No, there's nothing necessarily proven right now. There's different surgeries you can get to close your LES. We'll get into that in a second. But there's no like set like exercise or particular food you can do in order to like strengthen your LES. No steroids, no like anything. You know what I mean? So what's crazy is, and oh my gosh, I didn't even tell you the steroid story quickly. I'm going to tell you the story quickly, okay? Because I forgot, I left it out in the other episode. When I had that polyp, okay, I had an important, whatchamacallit, showcase coming up. They called like the Ontario Contact. And it was the theater, it was in Burlington, and it was a theater full of theater agents, okay, that were gonna book you for tours across Canada. Long story short, my voice was like messed up. So I went to the doctor, Aaron Lowe, Dr. Osborne. They made me sign a waiver. They were gonna take a catheter. They took a catheter needle that went through my nose, down into this, the area of my vocal cords, through the pulp. This is a scope with a needle attached to it, guys. Down there, found the polyp. I'm seeing this all on camera in front of me. Shit my pants. They're pumping this thing, stabbing it and pumping it with steroids. They said after that, you can't make a sound for 3 days. Let the steroid like come into play. Oh God. Okay. 3 days passes by. The fourth day, which was the morning, which I've never even heard my voice yet for the past 3 days, is Ontario Contact. I got to get up in front of a theater full of people who hear and perform their art to the best of their abilities all the time, and they're searching to see who they can hire for their theaters. We're talking all different areas of theaters, block bookings, all. I haven't heard my voice in 3 days. I'm about to get in front of a crowd like this. This is what I'm talking about by the love and hate, because you have to love singing, because no person in the right mind who wouldn't love singing get in front and put themselves in a position like that of just absolute fear and terror. Long story short, Brian sung Great Balls of Fire and Only You. I sung Johnny Be Good. I finished our set. We ended up getting a standing ovation. Like I said, I didn't even hear I didn't even know what I was gonna sing. But it just rolls off my tongue. That song to me is home. Johnny Be Good. I've been singing at the open mic since day one. Okay. Sang it, got a standing ovation, and got 18 theater bookings. This was prior to COVID though. We ended up doing all of them after COVID, but 18 theater bookings. Second best to who was it? Randy Bachman. Yes, I think Randy Bachman was there, or like was getting hired as. We got like 18 theater bookings, second to Randy Bachman. That was pretty cool. But I can't. Oh my god. Anywho, that's that quick story about the catheter needle coming in to my polyp. Back to my acid reflux. So now I'm feeling okay, and then I'm kind of getting a little bit, not sloppy, but I'm getting more comfortable, because they said after you kind of beat it, you can kind of go back to certain normal foods in your diet. But being the sweet tooth I am, being the, drinking protein shakes, chocolate and stuff like, certain things you shouldn't be drinking that can induce acid reflux. My acid reflux came back last September. I kind of felt it a little bit after doing the gig where I opened up for Arnel Pineda solo, and kind of around that time. And it's been apparent in my life since then, again. And I had a good handle on it for like close to over a year there. And then going back into some light eating habits that I probably shouldn't have been doing, maybe even more stress, who knows. It came back. And this is something now that I feel like I got to deal with by eating so diligently. Like I said, it's a little bit, once again, a double-edged sword, because like if you're working out and like feeling good and eating well, then, that helps, and this is what I feel like I'm dealing with right now. So a lot of my diet consists of a lot of fish, lentils, nothing really processed. I'm human. I can have, like, I'm not supposed to be drinking coffee. I have a little bit of coffee here, but I'm not drinking cups. Like, I drink as much, and as soon as I feel like I forget about it, like, I don't feel committed to drinking the whole coffee. You gotta drink a lot of water. Avocado. I eat a lot of nuts. I'll eat a lot of nuts because it doesn't spike my reflux, and it helps keep calories. So there's a limited amount of stuff that I'm eating. Now, the crazy thing is, I just got off the phone with a gastroenterologist. Roast me in the comments if I pronounce that wrong as well. And like a GI doctor, just, for, just, not want to say ENT, but a GI doctor who like kind of can check like your gut and your gut microbiome, and whether or not you have acid reflux symptoms and stuff. And there's a little bit of a hoops to jump through if I wanted to consider surgery. Now, there's this thing called the Lynx device that I'm considering if this keeps acting up. But I feel like just because of feeling of like, do I got to eat salmon and lentils for the rest of my freaking life? Or if I'm at a point right now, or I can try to have a hold of it, because even with that too, I still feel symptoms. So it's a battle. Being a singer is a battle. You are on a battlefield, okay? And you're just trying to come out alive. And the more you can prepare for that battle, the better. And it just takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of being aware, what affects you, what doesn't. And an acid reflux and the symptoms of that is very real and can really take away from the happiness of being a singer. So I'm thinking about getting this reflux device. until then, I'm just living as healthy as I can, very selective of my diet, and a lot of, like I said, my protein's a lot of fish. I do eat red meat a couple times during the, like maybe once during the day, like in the middle, I'll start off with like fish, maybe work out, and like after something, be able to eat like a little portion of red meat and like maybe a burger that I'll make because I'm only human, and I make like a pretty natural type of sauce out of avocado and like Greek yogurt. I use a type of barbecue sauce that's like very like the ingredients are very minimal and not a lot of preservatives or any of that kind of stuff. And this is what keeps me just sane as like a human being, trying not to eat like fish day in, day out. And and yeah, this is my life in a nutshell. This is my diet in a nutshell. And it's a real thing. But I think to conclude, let me conclude this. I'm talking about all the negatives about singing in this episode in particular as life as a professional singer, because I don't want anyone to feel like they're alone, because I feel like during these times of finding out how to shrink your polyp or acid reflux, that you are very much alone. You'll feel that, you know, and it's a pretty empty feeling when you're on stage and you're feeling like you're not 100%, when you're scouring the internet at night trying to find some kind of answers of why you feel the way you feel and what you can do about it. And I hope if you have any of these issues, um, whether you have a polyp or whether you have acid reflux, you have some work to be done. There's some work that needs to be done, and it depends on how bad you really want to do that work, or what kind of money you have to get a polyp cut out, or surgery done that's not approved in Canada that will probably take a few months for you to even get on a waiting list, and or how diligent you want to be with your diet when you're used to eating tons of processed food and eating out all the time, when now you're just making your own food day in, day out, simple ingredients. Like, I hope that you don't have to go through these things. And it's crazy because, like I said, like I can be as strong as I want. I can crank out as many chin-ups as I want on that damn bar, but nothing's gonna help you unless you do these right, proper like things. And those proper things are our diet and a good mental well-being. And yeah, if you are suffering from anything like this, feel free to comment and tell me about it. You know, if it's something similar that I can help, you know, I'm gonna comment right back and tell you what has worked for me and what hasn't. But this is the negatives that have happened, I guess you can say, as my career as a singer, just as much as like a athlete playing professional football gets injured, has to tear an ACL, gets surgery, come back next season, or, you know, suffering from this, that, or a busted thumb, but has to work through it. You know what I mean? It's to me, this is how I justify these things, because, you know, we're all living we're all living to make a living. We're all doing these things because we enjoy doing them personally, and I think it just depends on how bad you want it and what you're willing to do to have what's important to you. To me, singing is important to me. I stopped smoking because I didn't want to affect my voice anymore, because it's just not probably positive. I mean, I definitely know smoking is not positive for your vocal cords. I will tell you that. And even though it's, you know, I did it even during the first time when I was budding with acid reflux. That whole time I was still smoking here and there. I just got to a point where I'm like, you know what, I gotta chill. You know, when it comes to eating out or like eating certain things that just taste so damn tasty, candy, oh my, I got a sweet tooth. What am I gonna do? You have to make sacrifices. I hope, including myself, we all learn something from all these experiences. I'll make one more part to this episode because I really want to talk about the good things that come with singing and life as a professional singer. Part 3, Chris Hummel out.